Trust, an Art Journal page by Karen Burchill. This page was done at Yvonne's at our RRAW, Rest, Relaxation, Art and Wine Weekend. This page gave me some serious problems, but in the end, I love how it turned out, just like what was in my head. I left all the mistakes in so you can see that it doesn't always go perfect, and perseverance pays. So here I have Yvonne's Bubbles stencil, and I'm spraying my homemade Wilton sprays and colors on this. Variety of colors, variety of amounts. Just kind of going with what looks and feels good. So I'm doing a quick dry here, and I'm going to bump the stencil a little bit and move it over and spray it again, hoping to get a bit of a different effect. I've taped down the stencil a little bit on the bottom end just to hold it in place. As you can see, the Wilton homemade sprays are very vibrant. So I'm drawing this and I'm thinking this isn't exactly what I wanted. Not quite the effect that I was going for. So I decided to spray some Delusions white on to soften it up. You'll also see that I've sprayed I've stamped another bubble stamp in the background. It didn't really cover or go as very dark. I'm hoping the white is going to lighten this up. So I'm spraying through a different bubble stencil. And it was at this point that I realized that I wasn't supposed to spray through the stencil. I was supposed to wipe off through the stencil. So I dry it quickly, spray more colors on, a little of the Delusions, and I'm beginning to love what's happened here. The colors were really amazing. So for the first time since I started this project, I'm thinking, okay, this might work. I now remember what I was supposed to do to get the effect that I wanted, and I'm liking the colors that are on the page. So I'm drawing, and there was quite a pool of white, so I'm adding a little bit more color because I didn't want it quite so pastel-y. The paint that I'm spraying now is a burgundy Wilton spray. So that is a Lindy's Stamp Gang spray. It didn't spray as fine as I would have liked it, but I'm thinking, okay, I'm good with that. So now with a baby wipe, I am going to try to take off some of the ink to get this bubble, translucent kind of impression. So I'm continuing, taking off bits and pieces here and there through the stencil. So right now I have the one stencil with the bubbles. I had the stamp that I stamped with the stays on, the smaller stamp, bubbles, and now we have this one. And at the very beginning, after I put on gesso, which was before I started filming it, I had pressed bubble wrap into it, and you can see some of that when you're up close. So I'm just taking off bubbles here and there. Some I'm pressing more, taking it down to a whiter part, some I'm not. Just playing and seeing if I like what I'm getting. I'm really liking how the bubbles are showing up, and there's some real depth to this piece. Multiple layer upon layer upon layer of bubbles. And I'm thinking, this is what I had in my head. This is where I wanted to go. Took the round trip, but I did get there. I'm happy with the bubbles and the background that I have. I decide that I'm going to apply some circles, another one of my goals for this weekend, with some paint. And I have Grumbacher's Prussian Blue and I have Iridescent Medium, and I'm mixing the two as well. And I'm going to take different lids and sizes of circles and stamp all over the background to get yet one more layer of bubbles. So some of them are stamping with just plain Prussian blue, some are Prussian blue and the iridescent medium mixed, and some are just the iridescent medium. And I'm varying the sizes of the lids that I had with me. The acrylic paint leaves a lifting texture, so it looks kind of like it's embossed on there, so it has some really lovely texture to it. And I'm really happy with my selection of the 3 different types of bubbles using the 2 mediums. I didn't know when to stop, and you can just see the layers. So you see here a quote that I printed out on paper using the printer, picking a font that I liked, saying a bubble, trust like a bubble, is a very fragile thing. And I'm spraying my Lindy's Starburst sprays on there, cleaning up the overspray, of which there seem to be lots. And I discovered that I can't get the colors right. Because I had so many layers to get the color of my background, I really struggled getting the color of these words. I put Prussian blue on them, I sprayed them with different colors of Lindy's, and it just wasn't quite the right shade. It just jarred when I tested it on the page. And I think because I had added the white from the Delusions, and there were so many layers that it was just something that was rather impossible. I even tried to put some gel medium in with my Prussian blue to make it kind of a glaze. I thought maybe that would give it some iridescent kind of color. I'm working hard. I even printed this saying off again. That's the second printing, and it's not working. So I decide I can't get the right color, so I'm going to stamp with my letter stamps. This is a set of stamps that I got from Michaels. It's the Reflections brand, and you get smaller and larger letters, and I kind of mixed and matched, and I realized that I'm not going straight, so I decide I'm not going to attempt to go straight anymore. So I'm putting them on the acrylic block, spacing. Sometimes I'm going closer, sometimes I'm not. And I'm putting it on with my black stays on. As I'm looking at this, it's not, because there's so much texture and so much layers there and there's so much white in the dilution spray, I think seems to be coming up into the letters. I'm not happy with how dark the letters are, so I'm thinking I'm going to have to do something. Yeah, I'm much happier now not trying to make them all perfectly level and online. That I have the phrase all done, I did try to line the letters with both my white Uniball Signo and my silver gel pen, and neither one gave enough definition. I tried one on the T and one on the R, you can see there. So I decided that I'm going to have to paint all the letters with thinned acrylic paint. And this is just black. There may be a little bit of the Prussian blue still in the container, but I didn't really worry about it. Again, when you're using a liner brush, you thin the paint to the consistency of cream. You could use a Sharpie marker at this point in time, or a Pitt pen, or whatever you like to use. I just find it quicker with the liner pen from my days that I used to paint folk art and doing a lot of line work with that. I remember thinking right now that I absolutely love this background, that it's just working so incredibly well. After I do all the lettering, I'm using some of the Prussian blue and the blending tool from Ranger, and I'm just edging the papers in the Prussian blue. And I have a cutting board that I use in between the pages, and I just kind of run it on there first and then run it on the edge of the pages, just so I don't end up with a blob that's too dark. I just love the texture. I mean, I wish you could feel the texture that's developed here, even though the layers aren't acrylic. The layers of paint or the ink that I put on there and the combination of them, it feels like leather. So even though I wasn't wanting to outline all these letters, I decided that that it needed something. and I'm outlining it with my silver gel pen. This is just from the dollar store. So, and it works so incredibly well. I think I got 3 for $1.25. And it just, the little bit of iridescence worked rather well with the little bits and the layers of this page and the effect that I was really going after. It's a wonderful thing when the picture in your head or the work in front of you matches the picture that you've had in your head. Decide it needs a little bit of edging, a little more silver around the edges just to finish it off. Again, flashback to my folk art days. The pictures that I took don't do justice to this page at all. The video, it looks a little closer to the real thing. In fact, on some of the pictures I posted on Facebook, it looks like it was outlined with gold, not silver. Signing my name with the gel pen. And there we have a picture of the page in all of its beauty. Trust, like a bubble, is a very fragile thing. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, and share. Love reading your comments. Thanks.